Trump's battle to destroy the Robert Mueller investigation is officially over. That's right. That's according to Paul Waldman, who writes an opinion piece for the Washington Post. The section is called The Plumb Line, and they have various writers. It's strictly opinion. But Waldman points out that, Trump, being President Pig and the ignorant moron that he is, he doesn't realize it himself yet. And he probably doesn't understand why or how it happened. But Trump has lost this conflict against Mueller. And the reason is simple. Here it is. According to Waldman, Trump's attempts to fight Mueller were so ham-handed and so public that it made it impossible for him and his administration to shut Mueller down. This president is simply incapable of subtlety. And as Waldman points out, Trump is such an ignorant bastard, he judges everything by how it plays out in the media. But in the case of the investigation into his criminal activity, the more attention he drew to his rage at Mueller, the greater the consequences of moving against Mueller became. And now, of course, it's too late. It just simply is. As Waldman points out, look at the way Trump handled Jeff Sessions. It was precisely because Trump complained publicly so many times that he was just livid with Jeff Sessions for recusing himself from this investigation. Which, his constant complaint, it made it very clear that he wanted Sessions to oversee it so Sessions could shut it down. I mean, come on. So it became impossible to fire Sessions before the midterm elections. Or Trump would have lost even more than he lost. And it was Trump who lost, American people who gained. But Waldman points out those public statements against Jeff Sessions created a situation where firing him would create a backlash from Republican senators and a huge media scandal, since President Pig himself had all but said it would be for the purpose of obstructing justice. Trump is so stupid, he just keeps putting more rope around his neck. It was 16 months ago when Trump told the New York Times that if he had known Sessions would recuse himself from the Russia investigation, he never would have hired him to begin with. But it was that very statement that made it so much harder to do what he wanted to do, which was to fire Sessions. So, months passed. Robert Mueller worked diligently away, amassing evidence, turning witnesses, handing down indictments. And Trump could fire Sessions only after the midterms were over. And Waldman writes, that's when he finally did it. When he finally did it, Trump once again acted without any subtlety or understanding of how his moves would be interpreted publicly, installing Matthew Whitaker as acting attorney general, likely in no small part because of Whitaker's apparent hostility to the Mueller investigation. But Whitaker became so controversial so quickly that it's now impossible for Whitaker to fulfill Trump's wishes without, once again, causing a huge scandal. So, Whitaker now seems to feel that his hands are tied. And the Associated Press reports that, quote, Whitaker told Republican Senator Lindsey Graham in a meeting yesterday that special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation will proceed, end quote, Associated Press. And now, apparently Republicans in the Senate are pushing President Pig to find a new attorney general who can be confirmed quickly, which means someone who will pledge in their confirmation hearings not to interfere in the Mueller investigation. So even after Trump's latest attack on Mueller yesterday and all those nasty, shitty tweets, most Republicans now argue that President Pig will not fire Mueller or derail his investigation because the political consequences would be too great. But they said that naming an attorney general nominee as soon as possible would go a long way in halting legislative momentum to protect Mueller and a means of short-circuiting Democratic messaging that acting Attorney General, this freak Matt Whitaker, will undermine the investigation. John Cornyn, the Senate Majority Whip, Senator Cornyn of Texas, said, quote, "If we had some confidence that there is somebody nominated that will be confirmed in a reasonable period of time, to me it seems like it would relieve a lot of the controversy." And Cornyn predicted that Whitaker, who has been very hostile about the Mueller probe, Cornyn said, quote, "is not going to be there long," end quote. So anyway, as Waldman points out, all indications are that after a long period of silence during the close of the midterm campaign, Mueller is about to do something big or a series of somethings. Trump's former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, was spotted Monday coming to Washington with one of his criminal defense lawyers. Paul Manafort has held multiple meetings in recent weeks with Mueller's team. And if you remember on Wednesday, it was odd, but Mueller asked the court to delay sentencing for Rick Gates, saying Gates, quote, "continues to cooperate with respect to several ongoing investigations," end quote. So the putrid little fascists around Trump supposedly are gripped by anxiety about what's coming. Anyway, Waldman adds, when Trump lashes out on Twitter in increasingly hysterical terms, as he did yesterday, it might, as many have speculated, it might suggest that he knows something bad is coming his way. But his anger comes from impotence. If he knew he was about to get his way with Mueller, he wouldn't be shouting about it on Twitter. It's the fact that he can't do anything about it that fills this sorry bastard with rage. Waldman writes, "We don't know how many more Trump aides will wind up serving time behind bars, or what Mueller's final conclusions will be, or how much the president himself will be implicated in the scandal. What we do know is that Trump wanted to stop the investigation, and not only has he failed to do that, he's made everything worse for himself." What an ignorant bastard. I swear to God. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.